So welcome to a conversation with me. My name is Pamela, and I'm with Cerritos College and a program called the Falcon's Nest. And this is a new program on our campus this year, and I am very excited to tell you all about the Falcon's Nest. I am excited to hear that you all are getting ready to graduate and looking at Cerritos College as a future college for yourself. And I am grateful that you're in this space so I can tell you more about some of the programming that I offer in my space so that students can be connected to all types of basic needs. So a little history about what is the Falcon's Nest. So hopefully you know that at Cerritos College we are Falcons. Franco Falcon is our mascot. And we have a history of extremely dedicated staff making sure that students are connected to what we call basic needs services. And what does that mean? That means what's the basic things we need for a great life? We need food, we need housing, we need shelter, we need to feel safe, we need water, and so these are some of our basic needs. And a few years ago on our campus, there were some really great dedicated, or they're still there, but they're really great dedicated staff who all came together and they said, I think we're all trying to make sure that students have access to food and have access to housing, and we're all working really hard. What if we all came together and we tried to we work smarter, not harder? And they put together a task force, and they said, let's call ourselves the Falcons Basic Needs Task Force. And there were a lot of different offices where you could get like a top ramen here and a cup of noodle here if you were hungry, or you could get connected to maybe the showers at the school if you needed a place to shower. Maybe because at home you didn't have running water or there was some kind of issue at home, whatever. And so this task force came together and they were doing really great things. And they said, wow, what if we had a place at the campus that's like a one-stop center for students who can get their basic needs taken care of? And this was their vision and their dream. And I'm excited to tell you that that's what we have now, and it's called the Falcon's Nest. I love the title, the Falcon's Nest, because the nest is home and that's where you get taken care of. And that's where you get your food and your showers and your hygiene items and your care so that you can be a great student. So I want to let you know why we have on the screen here is our logo for the Falcon's Nest. And we have our mission statement and our vision. A mission statement, if you're not familiar with that, a mission statement means what is it that we're trying to do? Well, what we're trying to do is provide centralized support for students. What does that mean? That means instead of having to go all over campus to get this help, we're in one place. So it's centralized so that if you are facing any kind of basic need insecurity, which I'll talk about what that means more, that it's all in one place. And we're going to get you connected to all the different other programs on campus that can help you. And then we're going to get you connected to anything in the community that can help you with making sure that your basic needs are met so that you can be a successful student on our campus. And a vision statement means like if we did our job well, what will the world look like? If we do our job well, our vision is that students will have access to all of their basic need resources so that they can be successful. So a little bit history, like I was starting to talk about, is you'll see on the camera on the screen there's a triangle here. And if you've taken any kind of like psychology class in high school, you'll know that there's something called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And this was a social scientist who said, to get to the top of the pyramid, you have to start at the bottom. And you have to get those basic things taken care of, and then you can go to the next level, and then the next level, and the next level, and then it's really great because at the top you are able to achieve the greatness that you were meant to achieve. Well, there's a hierarchy of needs for community college students as well, and college students. And it's very similar to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but it ends at the top of the pyramid instead of just being like what they called self-actualization or like you are your best person. The top of our triangle, it is you are the ideal graduate. You are ready to move on. Well, at the base of the triangle is my program, and that's really regarding your physical needs. Do we have students who are hungry? Do we have students who don't have a safe space to sleep? And the answer is yes. We know that 2 out of 3 of our students are hungry when they come to class. And during COVID, it's probably even worse because so many people have been unemployed. And these numbers and these statistics I'm giving you were a national survey done before COVID. So we know what our numbers are probably even higher now. But 2 out of 3 of our students are hungry and don't know where their next meal is coming from. That's what it means to be food insecure, that you don't always know where your next meal is coming from. It's not that you just haven't made the choice. Do you want to go to Taco Bell or Del Taco? It means you don't know where you're going to get your food. And that's where a lot of the great staff members previously were able to provide students with like a cup of noodle here, or they were giving them a granola bar over there. And now we have this beautiful market space that we can provide students with food. We also know that 50% of our students are what's called housing insecure. What does that word mean? That means that maybe they're couch surfing. If you don't know what couch surfing means, it means, well, maybe I go stay with, Angel at his place for a week, and then I'm going to go stay with Cindy at her place for a little bit, and then maybe I'll go stay with Mia for a little bit, and I'm just kind of bouncing around. I'm surfing people's couches. Um, and that is not sustainable. That is not the best way for you to learn academic, for that's not safe for you. But it's also because you're very vulnerable in that situation, but it's also not the best way to be a student. And so 50% of our students are housing insecure. Housing insecure could also mean they don't know how they're going to pay their rent. Maybe they haven't been paying their rent, and the only reason they haven't been evicted is because COVID said, there was a portion of time that COVID said you don't have to worry about paying your rent and we won't evict you. Now I can tell you that's all going to end very soon, and folks who have not been able to pay their rent are suddenly going to be facing eviction very soon. So, and then we know that 13 to 14% of our students are actually literally like living either in a park or in their car, struggling with homelessness. These numbers are really big. And what this tells us is that in this call, you probably know somebody who's experiencing one of these issues, if it's not somebody in your family or you. And so that's why at the bottom of the screen, I've put most students either need support or know someone on campus who does. And so we all have to be mindful that there is help on our campus for these types of issues. And if you're not the one who needs it when you come to our campus, we want to make sure you know about it so that when somebody comes to you or you notice that somebody might need some support, you can say, hey, there's this really cool program. It's called the Nest, the Falcons Nest, and we want to get you over there. So that's a little bit, because once we get those physical needs, we get them in housing, we get them food, water, and then they start to feel safe and they start to feel like they can relax. We have a student right now we've been working with who he loves music, and he was experiencing homelessness, and he had not been able to touch writing music in a while. We were able to get him securely housed, to get him some food, get those basic needs taken care of, and he just posted his album on Spotify this last week. How cool is it? He is now at the higher portions of this triangle. He is now able to engage academically. His quality of life is better, and he's going to be a phenomenal graduate when he gets ready to graduate from us, because his bottom of his pyramid has been taken care of. We have another student who also is receiving some housing assistance, which means also food assistance and all these things. And this student said that they started experiencing homelessness when they were 13, bouncing from house to house, not really having a place to stay. And that's when they stopped being creative. And this last week, they were given an opportunity to do a vision board, one of those boards where you kind of write what you want to see in your life. And they had never been able to really envision what they wanted to see, because they were always still just trying to like figure out where they were going to live. And now the student can not just only plan a future for themselves, but they can also envision it and they can achieve it because they're going to college, which is really exciting. So here is a slide with Franco Falcon. He is our mascot. And we want to make sure you know that our goal here is to stomp out any kind of stigma that is attached to students receiving help. Some students can be very cautious about going and getting assistance for housing or food. And we need you to know that that's my job. Make me do my job, right? My job is to make sure that students have full bellies and they're not hungry in class, and that they also have a place to stay and that they can help pay their rent. And then the student's job is just to be a student, right? And maybe get a part-time job or whatever that looks like for them. And so we can do so much if we all work together, and we really need to help folks know that this is not a stigmatizing program at all at our campus, that we have Oh my gosh, just since January, we've had 400 students connected to us. So there's a lot of people at our college who are connected to this program. So, oops, it looks like my slides went out of order. I lost some slides. Just a second. Okay, well, I'll have to fix that for the next presentation. So what we have on campus is at the Falcon's Nest, we have all different types of assistance we can provide students. I'm going to stop sharing for just a second so that we can just talk. We have all different types of assistance for students. We have food assistance, and our food assistance is we can connect students to CalFresh, which some of you on this call might already know what that is. That's another word for saying food stamps or your EBT card. And what's really great to know is that students in college have a different level of type of qualification to receive this assistance. And so you might be thinking, well, I'm just a senior in high school. Like maybe my family gets EBT or they gets CalFresh, but like that's not something I need to worry about. Well, you can actually get your own benefits if you're preparing your own food. So if you live in a house with your family and they're getting their own benefits, and you can qualify for your own benefits if you prepare your own meals separately. There's a lot of really great things to know about CalFresh, and there's a lot of really great things that like opportunities that students can have to get extra food into their home. And if we can get, some students qualify for $200 a month for CalFresh just for themselves. Imagine what you would do if you had $200 that you didn't have to spend on food. What would you do with that $200? Would you be able to help if you live at home with mom and dad? Like, would you be able to help them with their rent? Would you be able to pay your bills that you need to pay if you had that $200 extra? And now there's also a program through the Falcon's Nest that some students who don't qualify for CalFresh, maybe because they have a job and they're making a little too much money, but it's still not enough to help them. We have a grocery card program where we can give students $50 a month in grocery cards, and you can go down to Ralph's or Food for Less and get some more groceries. And we really want to make sure that those students who can't get the CalFresh assistance but still qualify because maybe they can show that like in financial aid they need help, we get them the assistance that can make sure that they are not hungry when they're coming to school. And then lastly, we know that there are some students who aren't going to qualify for CalFresh, and they're not going to qualify for grocery cards because maybe they're undocumented. And undocumented students often don't qualify for a lot of these programs because it's a federally funded program and you have to be able to show that you have some kind of documentation. Well, what we have is a beautiful market space where those students get priority in our market. Our market is ready to serve so many students, but right now the priority is that we get to our undocumented students, and then also what we call our international students, students who are studying here from another country. And we are able to help them fill a grocery bag full of groceries every week, send them home with, I think this last week it was like dinner ham and shrimp, and then a bag of carrots and a bunch of potatoes, and get them some produce so that these students can also get some food resources. Now, the other students who are connected to us through the grocery card program or maybe through our CalFresh program, they can also get to the grocery store, our what we call Franco's Market. They can also get the fresh produce and everything that the other students get. They just have to get in line behind our undocumented students because we just need to make sure that the word equity is really important to us, and that everybody has access to some kind of food help depending on their circumstance. So students are not turned away for food if they do need food. The other really cool thing we have going on in the Falcon's Nest is we have a great hygiene distribution program. What does that mean? Every month, a student, you just have to be enrolled. You don't have to show any kind of like financial need or anything, but you can ask for assistance with hygiene items. Hygiene items would be things like shampoo and I think that might be actually the next slide I had. So I'll start sharing again. But hygiene items are going to be things like shampoo and deodorant and toothpaste. Here's an example of some of our hygiene kits. And once a month, students can ask, hey, can I have some assistance with, right now we're giving out kits, but once we're back on campus, students can just stop into our space and they can pick up just the items they need. They don't have to get like a whole kit. But if they want the whole kit, they can also have it. And what would you do with that extra $30 a month if you didn't have to spend it on things like toothbrushes and toothpastes and lotion and like what would you do with that money? I'm hopeful you would help pay some of the bills, right? And take care of yourself. And so we're able to provide students if they need it with some hygiene items. Now, if you don't need it, we don't come stop by, save it for somebody who does. And if you don't need it, then maybe you can be part of a club on campus who organizes a drive to give us more hygiene items. That's a great idea too. I want to highlight again, some of us on this call are not the student who needs this help. Instead, we are the student who is going to provide the help. And maybe you're going to volunteer in the Falcon's Nest, or maybe you're going to host a hygiene drive for us. Maybe you're one of us who needs the help. And maybe you're going to be both. Maybe I have a lot of students who want to get this assistance, but then they also want to be able to volunteer and contribute their time, which is really great. And when we're back on campus in the fall and then in the spring, we're going to want to get students involved in the nest as well. Some of the things that have not started quite yet in the Falcon's Nest, but we're getting ready to get launched this summer and fall, is we have a program called Franco's Closet. And that's for students who maybe they have a program on campus that they are connected to that needs a uniform, or they want to get a professional looking outfit for a job interview or something. We have what's Franco's Closet is, it's not a closet. It's actually like a very big room. It's about the size of a classroom. And it's a space where students can come get professional clothing. And we're going to be partnering with our costuming department to make sure that when a student gets an outfit that's maybe a donated professional outfit, they can then take it over to the costuming department where those students know how to tailor and customize the outfit so it doesn't look like you're wearing somebody's like big baggy donated outfit. And you can get your outfit tailored over in the costuming department. So for students who are really struggling with getting that professional outfit together for a job interview or for an internship, we want you to know that the Nest, we're taking care of that for you. We're also working on making sure we can help students in need with laundry assistance and shower assistance. Some students can't go home and take a shower, so they need to be able to take a shower in the gym. We're working to make sure that we can make those connections for students and get their clothes washed so that they can not only feel good from a shower, have the hygiene items, wear the clean clothes, have the professional clothing, and then go get a meal. And that type of assistance can really help students make sure that they're successful. All right. And then the other piece that we're connecting to students to is we're connecting, like I said earlier, students to all types of campus resources and out of campus resources. So we want to make sure that whenever we're connecting to students, that they know we're going to be looking, if they're a former foster youth, do they need connection to the LINK program? If that's a program on our campus for students who were in the foster care system. Do they need connections to our student health program where you can get free counseling services, or our medical clinic where you can get medical services for free? A lot of students don't know about those kind of things. And so we want to be that one-stop shop where we're connecting people to all sorts of things on campus. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. Okay, wonderful. And so that's where this slide talks about providing that linkage for students. These are some of the examples of the types of programs that students might want to get connected to. Anything from housing services to tutoring, transportation assistance, immigration assistance. I mean, there's a whole list of help that people can get out there. And it's fascinating. I don't anticipate that all of you know about this stuff, because as a high school senior, I don't expect that you would know that there's all this help out there. And I also know there's probably somebody on this call who's had to utilize this kind of help out there to help make sure that their life is stable. And so at the Falcon's Nest, we're the stop to get that help. And we want to make sure that we'll provide that for you. There's the slides I was missing. They were just out of order. Look at that. Here's our flyer on CalFresh. By the way, I do want to make sure I'm going back to the CalFresh conversation. You do not have to be a student at our school for us to help you get connected to CalFresh. And so if you are listening to this call right now going, man, I really want to see if my family's eligible for CalFresh, you can come onto our website and we will help you get connected. We will help anybody in the community. And the picture on the screen of all that food, that was my dining room table at Halloween time. And I took a picture of what looks like $175 worth of food. And that's where we want to know, what would you be doing with all that extra money if you had all that food given to you every month? And how could you stretch that? And that's not even $200. That's just $175 worth of food. So the other piece of housing assistance that we're able, or basic needs assistance that we're able to assist students with, is getting them connected to safe and secure housing. And if they already are in housing but they're struggling paying their rent, how do we keep them in that housing? So how do we make sure that students have a warm bed at night to sleep in, so that they're not worried about that when they're in the middle of their class? And Cerritos College this last year, we partnered with this great program in the community called Hoviness. Hoviness is a separate organization that that already works in housing and already works on making sure that people in the community, not just students, but people in the community, are connected to housing resources. Well, our college a while back called, got together with Hoviness, and they were like, hey, we have students who are struggling with where they're going to live. And it's not because like they just don't like where they live, but like maybe they're graduating from high school and the family that they're staying with has told them, hey, once you get into college, we can't have you here anymore. Or maybe the conflict at home is so high that they've moved out and they're living on somebody's couch while they're in high school. Or maybe they're already a student and that's their situation. So our college got together with Holiness and was like, hey, you already know how to do housing for students who are experiencing homelessness or students who their housing is insecure. And we have students who have those issues. How can we like connect on this? And so we made a partnership, which is really cool. And in this partnership or collaboration, we have some really great housing assistance for students. On the screen here, you'll see this is our flyer regarding how to get this housing assistance. And it talks about, are you experiencing homelessness? Do you not know where you're going to sleep tonight? Do you not know how you're going to pay your rent? Maybe you live in a house where you pay a portion of your rent and you don't know how you're going to pay that portion of the rent. Maybe you got laid off, maybe whatever that dynamic is. We're here to help. We want to make sure that you know that we have housing options for students. These are not dorms. I need to be very clear. This is not like I'm going to go to Cerritos College and live in the dorm. Instead, some of the housing options are apartments that are managed by Hoviness, and students live there and they have a lot of support from different staff members on how to be successful as a college student. And then some of the housing assistance is, oh, thank you for posting in the chat my link on housing. But maybe some of the students don't live in that apartment space that we have with Hoviness. Maybe we get them into their own apartment because they've got a job and they'll be able to pay their rent. Or like I said, maybe they're already in a place, an apartment, and they just can't pay their rent because of whatever, and they need like a month where somebody just helps them out and pays their rent, and then they can get back on their feet. We want to make sure that students know that we're here to do all of those things. You'll see on this flyer, it says eligibility criteria, and it talks about how we need you to be enrolled in 9 units to participate in this. Then it also talks about how you have to have a GPA of at least 2.0 and you've completed 9 units. And since I know none of you have probably completed 9 units because you're seniors in high school, I really need to make sure that you know that consideration is taken for special circumstances regarding these eligibility criteria. What does that mean? That means that if you are a brand new student at Cerritos College, I'm not looking at you saying, oh, you're experiencing housing insecurity. Sorry, we're not going to help you because you've never been here before and you don't have a GPA. We're not going to do that. We're going to say, okay, we see that you're brand new to us. This is your first semester. Go ahead. We're going to have a conversation with you. We're going to hear, are you a serious student? Is this where we want to like invest these resources? Because this is very limited resources. And we've had students who, a few weeks after their 18th birthday, moved into our housing units because they were very serious about being college students, and they were enrolled in their 9 units, and they're doing phenomenally. They're doing phenomenally. One of them is the one who I said got to do his vision board because he had been experiencing housing insecurity since he was 13, and he wanted to make sure that he had his basic needs taken care of, and now he can go to the next level in that triangle, and he can start taking care of himself and his academic needs, which is really, really exciting. So please make sure you keep our housing program in mind. when you know people who might be at our campus, or for yourself if you should ever need any assistance with housing. And again, if you just come to the Falcons Nest, either online or in person, we can connect you with this program. So when you're on campus, what can you do to get connected to the Nest? Well, tell people about the Falcons Nest. Tell people how they can get free food with CalFresh, and tell people about how there's housing help. And then if you're the person who needs to know about it, then come visit us and let us help you. Again, make me do my job. Make me do my job. Maybe you're going to be in a club and you don't necessarily need to be on the side of the assistance, so you want to give assistance. Hey, help us with like a hygiene drive when you're on campus. Or I'm sure some of you have been involved in clubs at school and high school. Clubs on campus are really active and really popular, and they can support things like the Falcons Nest, so be part of that. And then when you're on campus, when we're opened up and you're allowed to, come give us a visit and come check it out. We have an open door policy as far as long as the COVID regulations allow us to have an open door policy. We will have an open door policy for students to be able to access the Nest, because remember, the Nest means home, and home means you're safe and you're fed and you're taken care of. And that's what we want to make sure students know, that we're here for that. These are the folks who work in the Falcons Nest. You'll see myself here on the left. I'm the case manager, so I'm the lead of the staff. And then we have some really awesome dedicated staff members to making sure that all of your services are taken care of. And by the time you all come onto our campus, this team is going to be twice this size, because we're going to be getting a whole bunch of new folks this summer, which is really exciting. But please notice all of our email addresses are on the screen, which means if you want to reach out to us and ask us questions, feel free. You can reach out to myself. You can reach out to Esme or Paulina, who are the CalFresh staff. You are welcome to take a screenshot of this and reach out to us if you have any questions. I could imagine some students might be a little nervous about asking questions in kind of a public space. So if you have private questions you want to ask me about your specific needs, I am completely open and available for you. And we do have some social media handles. We are active on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We have a YouTube channel. We like to make sure that we're really connected to students. And then I'm just going to end by visiting our website. This is the website that was put into the chat. And here we have, I'm just going to navigate it for you so you can see all of the things I just talked about, how it can come to life. And so here on our website, there are lots of really great resources. We've organized it in a way that if you find that maybe you're looking for food assistance, there might be 3 or 4 different ways to get to the same type of assistance, because we know that everybody's brain works a little bit differently, and maybe not everybody would take the same path to get to a resource. And so if you see that some of the resources are repeated, it's because that means that your brain has figured out multiple paths to get to one direction. And that's because we just want to make sure that our services are accessible. But on the right-hand side, we have some really cool resources. I'm sorry, yes?
We're not seeing the website.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you for telling me. I had not shared where it was my desktop, so thank you so much.
No
now you're
worries.
seeing the website.
Yes.
I appreciate that. But here on the right-hand side, you'll see some of our popular resources. If I click here on the Falcons Nest referral form, that's the form that gets me to food assistance, hygiene assistance. We also have, at times we have an emergency aid program that if you have a financial emergency, we can assist you with that. Maybe you can't pay for your books, or maybe you have a lab fee that you can't pay for. Maybe you need DACA fees paid for. We will help pay for those fees. And that's also found on the Falcons Nest referral form. It's one form with lots of help. And you get to pick and choose on that form what kind of help you're going to get. And so we have some really great resources here on the right. And on the left here in the gray is our landing page of kind of it's all the different programs that we're going to be able to cover on in our website. But I do want to talk about our landing page first. It has our mission. And once again, look, we found our Falcons Nest referral form. It's just going to be repeated like throughout this whole website. But while we're not on campus 100%, we do want you to know that we have drop-in hours. And I'm not sure if you're familiar as a high school student what drop-in hours are. I'm hopeful that some of your teachers at school have had drop-in hours for you. But this is the idea that students can just kind of drop in and ask us questions whenever they'd like. And we have, for the Falcon's Nest, we have drop-in hours. Then we have folks who maybe they have very specific questions about housing. We have Hoveness drop-in hours where they can ask the housing specialists about our housing programs. And then we have some CalFresh drop-in hours for folks who have specific CalFresh questions, because that's a pretty big program on our campus. And we have a lot of availability for students to drop in. And so you just kind of come into our Zoom link, ask us the questions, and we'll have a private conversation with you. And then we can either assist you in filling out whatever paperwork you might want to fill out, or web link, or answer whatever questions. And again, you don't have to be an active student on our campus to get us on those drop-in hours. So as a senior in high school, if you had questions, you could just drop in and ask us anytime about those items. So on the left here, we have all the different options that I was talking to you about. Let's look at food resources. Under food resources, we have the CalFresh program, like we had talked about. If I could have a thumbs up that the website changed with me. Did the website change to CalFresh? Perfect. Here, I'm going to highlight this because I need to make sure again, you do not need to be enrolled to get this help from CalFresh if you or your family is not already connected. But it's like financial aid for food. It's like a continual scholarship for food. You never have to pay it back. You just get to have it, which is really cool. And on here, we talk about what is CalFresh. What are the documents I would need to apply? Am I eligible for CalFresh? So if we click on am I eligible for CalFresh, it's going to take us through the eligibility requirements. For example, if you end up living on your own, let's say your circumstance is that you're going to live with 3 people in an apartment, and all 3 of you keep, or all 4 of you keep separate budgets for food. You don't eat each other's food. You have your own foods. Okay. So that means you're technically a household of 1. You're not a household of 4. You're a household of 1. And if you make less than $2,128 a month, you can qualify for CalFresh. All right. But let's say you're living with your family, and you are living with your family has 5 people in it, and your family doesn't make anything more than $5,114 a month. You could also be qualifying for CalFresh, which is really exciting. Now, there are some eligibility pieces. You don't have to be eligible for all of these pieces. It's just pick one. You got to be eligible for those pieces. And this can feel overwhelming for a lot of people. So I want to let you know that's why we have the option for you just to come to our drop-in hours, and we will help you with the application process, or even just looking at if you're eligible or not. There's no requirement to join. We just want to make sure you know that we're here to support you for that. And then we also have information on our grocery cart assistance, on our food distributions. I want to highlight our food distribution for a moment because everybody in this call is eligible to come to our monthly food distribution. You do not need to be a student to come benefit from the food distribution that we have once a month. It's on the 4th Wednesday of the month, which means it's coming up this next Wednesday from 9 to 11. And we serve hundreds of cars, and we give them usually between 50 to 80 pounds of food. You'll usually get a box of meat, shrimp. It's been shrimp, chicken chili, frozen chicken, ham. It's always some kind of great meat product. Then you'll usually get some kind of produce. Sometimes it's a box of all different types of produce, like fruits and vegetables. And sometimes it might be like a really great bag of oranges or apples or something. And then usually there's a box of some kind of pantry goods. What are pantry goods? Like boxes and canned items, pasta sauces, pasta, tuna, all sorts of that kind of stuff. And then you might also get a dairy box where it's going to be cheeses and maybe a milk or some. Every month it's different, so I can't tell you exactly what it's going to be. But you're usually going to get between 50 and 80 pounds of assistance, and this is open to anyone. So tell your family, tell your neighbors, tell whoever you'd like. Come to Cerritos College next Wednesday morning between 9 and 11. Now, folks do start lining up usually around 6, so it is a little bit of a line. But you could even do, if you have to go to class online in the morning, you could do class from the car if you have a hotspot. Like you could just, you can come get these free resources, which is really, really exciting. So again, all of our food resources are highlighted here. And then next we have our housing resources, the campus housing partnership versus community housing resources. The campus housing partnership is that program I was telling you about with Hoviness, and everything I showed you on the flyer is right here with all of their eligibility information, their Zoom information, and then right here is the form you complete to request assistance with housing. If you request assistance with housing, they will reach out usually within 24 to 48 hours to start talking to you about what kind of help you need. And then it really depends on how fast you work with them. We have one student who requested assistance and the next week had moved into our apartment buildings and was able to get assistance that fast. So it was pretty exciting. And then we have our information on hygiene support. We've already talked about how people can get assistance with their hygiene support through the Falcons Nest referral form. And we have information on physical health, mental health. This will get you connected to SHS, but that's our student health services, which is where you can get free counseling and free medical care. We'll make sure you get connected to that. Information about financial wellness, our closet that's under development, which is happening right now. We also have a laptop and Wi-Fi loaner program. If you do not have a laptop or have a Wi-Fi hotspot, we can help connect you with one of those during the fall semester if you're not on campus. We also have a really great study hall on campus where students can come and get free internet and sit in a quiet space, because let's be real, like some of us do not have quiet houses. And we got a lot of stuff going on in the background. Like I'm shocked my dog has not barked once during this presentation. And so I just want to make sure you know that we are wanting to ensure that students have access to spaces that have internet and spaces that are conducive with studying. And that internet can be on our campus, or that internet can be at home with a hotspot. And if you need a laptop, we have that program as well. So again, this is our website, and it's a great resource to go and just kind of check it out and surf around on the website so you can see all the things the Falcons Nest has to offer. Usually on our landing page below our hours, our drop-in hours, we also have information right here about our food distribution that I was inviting you all to, that's on Wednesday. So we have the flyer in English and in Spanish, and it's already has the May date out there as well, which is May 26th. Again, you're welcome to join us for that. So again, I want to encourage you to check out our website. I know you probably have an Instagram because you're a high school student, so check out our Instagram if you want. Follow us, like us. We've got some cool posts out there. We want to make sure that you are connected to all of those resources that we've talked about. And if you don't need those resources, that you know how to connect other people to those resources so that we can get those students connected. So at this time, I want to entertain, like if anybody has any questions, you can come off mute and ask me the question, or you can put it in the chat and I will open it up in the chat and I'll answer it here on the call.
So if you have any questions for Pamela, you put it in the chat or unmute yourself. Thank you so much, Pamela.
I have a question I'm interested to know. And you can use the reaction emojis. You can put it in the chat, however you want to respond. But is anybody here familiar? Did you know that the college could have this type of assistance outside of just classes? Like I know a lot of us think of college as like that's where you go to school and you get classes, but you can raise your hand if you know. I won't necessarily call on you, but like let me know if you knew that this even exists on a college campus, this type of help. Yeah. So I'm seeing that some of us knew that there was CalFresh assistance, but not the other stuff. I'm seeing that some of us had no idea. And I want you to know that like the job of the Nest is to be that safe landing space. We want students who are coming to our campus to grow as young people into their adulthood. And we want folks to feel like they're going to become independent. And that's really hard to do when you're right out of high school. And that's really hard to do when there's a pandemic. And so that's why we're here as a safety net to make sure that being hungry or needing some shampoo and because you don't have the shampoo, you're nervous to go to class because you maybe your hygiene's not great, or maybe not having housing. We don't want any of that to be the reason you're not coming to school, or heaven forbid that you drop out of school. We want you to be totally successful at our campus. And so we are really innovating to make sure that students have that support. So thank you for those of you who were able to reach out to me in the chat. I appreciate that, to let me know that you didn't know about that. Um, I want to say thank you very much for coming to this workshop. It has been phenomenal to see the incoming students and folks who are interested in being at Cerritos College. And I'm excited to have you all. If you want to be a Falcon, come join the Falcon family. And however my team, myself and my team can support you once you make it to campus, let us support you. And if you don't need our support, well, then come partner with us and help us support the students around. So thank you very much for being here. And if you have any questions that you want to wait until the presentation's done, then you can stay on. Otherwise, we're going to probably close up in the next 5 minutes. And just thank you very much. And I'll stay on for 5 minutes if anybody has questions. Otherwise, you enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of your presentations that you do attend. So thank you.